Sorry about that. So when we have a line whose y-intercept is 0, -5, that means that we're going down 5 on the y-axis. That's our y-intercept. And since my slope is -2/3, it means from there, I'm going to go down to 3 to the right. You get another point? Because then I'm putting the negative. Or I could do it by going 2/-3 because it means the same exact thing, which means then I could go up to the 3 to the left. And here's my line. As a matter of fact, we even had said yesterday, since the line is going down, remember I always talk about how the line goes when I go from left to right. It's going down because its slope is negative. Notice I just told you what the slope is. I told you what the y-intercept is. What would the equation of this line be? And it's easy to write the equation because the slope I know is -2/3. So in place of m, I'm putting -2/3. Put the x there, plus the b. The b is the y-intercept. Remember what we said the y-intercept is. We're not going to put the whole 0, -5. The important thing is the -5. If I know the slope and the y-intercept of a line, I actually know its equation. Okay. I'm going to ask you another question. Suppose I give you these 2 points. Suppose I give you the point 2, 0 and 0, -5. And I tell you, I want to find the equation of the line between these 2 points. How do we do something like that? So first of all, you don't have to, but I'm going to draw it because I always like, when I draw something, I somehow feel more comfortable as to what I'm doing. 2, 0 is this point here. What do we sometimes call the point 2? Wait, and 0, -5 is along the y-axis and it's going down 5. Remember, when the 0 comes first, it means it's on the y-axis. When the 0 comes second, it means it's on the x-axis. Here is my line. It was easy to draw. Once I have 2 points, all I have to do is plot the 2 points and connect them. Notice, what do we call this point here? What's the name for it? Anybody?
The x-axis or the y-intercept?
Well, is it the x-intercept?
I don't know which one you pointed to. I'm sorry.
You meant this one.
That's on the x-axis. So that's
right. So it's called the x-intercept. Sometimes we even just say the x-intercept is 2. Means that the line is crossing the x-axis at the x being 2. Of course, the y has to be 0 because it's on the x-intercept. It's on the x-axis. What is this point, this 0, -5? What's that called?
That's going to be the y-intercept.
That is the y-intercept because it's on the y-axis, which means, so I could also have said for this particular example that I have a line whose x-intercept is 2 and whose y-intercept is -5. So either I could say we have the points 2, 0, and 0, -5 on the line, or we could say the x-intercept of the line is 2, 0, the y-intercept of the line is 0, -5. Okay?
Hello, good morning. My name is Jonathan, by the way.
Hi, hi,
um,
John.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. My thing is when you wrote this problem, my first instinct was to do the y1, y2 minus y1 over x2 or minus x1. Would that be all right as well?
You're just a step ahead of me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. And I think, Jonathan, you often are.
Oh,
Just
thank
a
you.
step ahead of me. You know where I'm leading to. Okay. I just wanted to draw the line. Now I want to write the equation of the line. And the equation of the line of any line is y equals mx plus b. Unless it's one of those special lines, one that goes either straight across or straight up and down, then we have special equations for them. But any slanted line has to have an equation y equals mx plus b. We're aiming to get that equation. Okay, so Jonathan, now I'm going to ask you, what were you finding when you were doing that? What is that called?
With that, it will find the slope. You will be able to find the slope.
Right. On the equation, I want to find the m and the b. Those are the two important numbers I have to stick into the equation to get my equation. The general equation is y equals mx plus b. Every line has its own m and its own b, the m being the slope. And what did you say the formula was?
Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Okay. And remember what we did? We just arbitrarily picked one of our points to be the x1, y1, and the other one then became the x2, y2. Okay, what do we get if we do that?
Hold on. Let's see. -5 minus 0. It'll be 5 over -2.
Well, you're ahead of me. Okay, let's do it slowly.
Oh.
The y2 is -5. The y1 is
0.
0. The x2 is
0.
0. The x1 is
2.
So here's what now we have to simplify this. How much is -5 minus 0?
-5. And then
How much is 0 minus 2?
-2.
Okay. Do I usually leave something -5 over -2?
No.
No, what do we usually do with that?
Make it positive.
Yes, make it a positive.
Right. Two negatives make it positive. I leave it as a fraction because it's a slope. I want a slope to be a fraction. But if I can simplify the fraction in any way, in other words, can I reduce it? Well, there's nothing that goes into 5 and 2, but they were both negatives, so I can make it a positive. If I have two negatives in a fraction make it a positive.
I just counted from the first point to the next point, like from the 0, -5. I just counted up how many, and then to the right how many.
Right. Which you definitely could do in this problem because it's sort of relatively easy, or if you have it on graph paper. Because basically when I do y2 minus y1, that's what I'm doing. I'm counting how far is it from the y of one point going up. And then I'm counting how much I'm going across. So I can do it actually by counting boxes. So the formula is just a formal way of doing it, counting the boxes.
Cool.
All right. So if I look at this equation that I'm trying to write, I'm ready to replace the m. I know my equation is going to be y equals 5/2 in place of times x. Now I could put the x next to the 5 also, it doesn't matter. But the m goes right over here. My m turned out to be 5/2. That's my slope. But I still need another thing. I need my b. Now what is my b?
-5.
My b is my y-intercept. It has nothing to do with the x-intercept. It's the y-intercept. And since we will go, the line is going through the point 0, -5, as Emma mentioned, that means my y-intercept, and we said it right here, is -5. That means my b has to be equal to -5. So in place of the b, I'm putting -5. Notice, I didn't start out with an equation for this line. I just gave you 2 points on the line. And from the 2 points on the line, I was able to find the equation of the line. Let's see if can I give you a problem to try like this? You ready to try one?
Let's
Yes.
try it.
Yes.
Actually, this is question number 13 on the sheets that I had, the practice sheets, the practice example sheet 2. This is number 13. And it's telling me, determine the equation of the line described, put the answer in slope-intercept form. It has an x-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of -6. See if you can write the equation of the line that has those 2 features. While you're doing that, I'm going to take attendance. Let's start again. Does somebody want to work me through this problem?
I can try, but I might be wrong is what I'm realizing.
Okay. How
Is that
about,
okay?
Emma, I love you. I really do.
Okay.
You're the one who's always, I'd like to have somebody else.
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to just, what about Azia? Azia, would you want to work us through this?
My English is very bad, so I don't like to speak.
Okay, it's okay. I'll help you. Don't worry. Did you graph this first?
Yes, I try to graph.
Okay. So let's see how the graph looked. What did you put your first dot?
X-intercept 3.
Okay,
That means y is 0.
right. So this is the point. You're telling me x is 3, y is 0. Perfect. When you have an x-intercept of 3, it's telling you that the x is 3, it's right on the x-axis, and the y, even though they don't have to tell you because it's on we know it's on the y, on the x-axis, the y has to be 0. Where did your other point go?
Y-intercept mean x is 0. So my -6 for y.
And so we do 0 and -6, right?
Yes.
Because the y-intercept is -6, which means it's 6 down, which means the point. In other words, they're just giving us the easy way of saying it. The y-intercept is -6, but it really means that the point is 0, -6. Okay, so here's my line, right? Okay, what did you do next? What did you try to find for that line?
And next, I try to find the flow.
Right. We know we want the slope and the y-intercept. Actually, I don't even, the y-intercept I already have, so all I really have
Yeah.
to find is the slope. How do you find the slope? It's busy in your house, I hear. How do you find the slope?
Is y2 minus y1 x2 minus x1.
Okay. What did you call the 3, 0? Which one was the x1, y1? Which one was the x2, y2?
Y2 is -6.
Okay, this was your x2 and your y2.
Yes,
Your x1 and your y1.
yes.
Okay. Okay, so that -6
Minus 0.
minus 0.
0 minus 3.
Okay. And on top, what did it turn out to be?
-6 minus 3.
Did you simplify that?
Yes,
What does that simplify to?
it's possible to simplify, so I did it.
And what did you get?
2.
2. The negative of the negative becomes a positive, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So in the simplest form, that came out to be 2. You don't have to write 2 over 1, it's 2. So now we're ready to write the equation of the line. What is the equation of the line?
The equation is b. We know that b is -6.
Right. The b is -6 because we said the y-intercept, said right away at the beginning, the y-intercept is -6. So your equation becomes y equals
2x -6.
perfect. That is beautiful. She did a beautiful job at that because it's exactly what I would have, the way I would have said it also. And be careful with working out your examples. Is there any question about this now? Look at again what we did. I gave you a description of the line, and from the description, we came up with an equation, something with x's and y's that this tell us about the line. Okay, I want to go a step further from this. Okay. Suppose I gave you just looking in my book for some questions. I'm going to give you 2 points. 2, 1, and 4, 4. Okay. I'm now giving you 2 other points. 2 points that are on a line. And I want to find the equation of the line between these 2 points. Again, I'm drawing it, though you don't have to draw it, it's just easier to understand if I draw it. The 0.21 is 2 to the right, 1 up. The 0.44 is 4 to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 up. Here's my line. Something like that. Here's a line. We're going to try and find the equation of this line. Notice neither of the points that it gave you was either an x-intercept or a y-intercept. Just any 2 points on the line. But again, we're going to do what we did before. We want to put it in the y equals mx plus b. So the first thing I'm going to worry about is finding the slope of the line. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to find the slope of this line. See if you can put it in the slope formula and find the slope of the line. Is 3/2. And I saw a bunch of people on the chat sent in 3/2. Okay, so we're sort of halfway there in terms of, if the question was, what is the slope of the line? You're finished. But our question wasn't only what is the slope of the line. Our question is, what is the equation of the line? Now, here's where we're going to have to be careful. Our equation of the line is going to be y equals, remember, mx plus b. And the m, the slope, I already found out. So y equals 3/2 x plus b. What I don't have now is the y-intercept. And neither of the points that I gave you, not the 2,1 nor the 4,4, are y-intercepts because they're in the middle of the graph. They're not on the y-axis. The question is, how do we figure out the y-intercept if we don't have it? That's a whole nother game. And actually, this is Erica, this was your question, how that was on Delta Math. Now we're going to explain how to do that. Now, what you're going to want to do is to have your calculators handy if you want to do this with your calculators. I am going to do it without a calculator, but you can use your calculators wherever you want. To say an equation, this is an equation of line, any point that's on the line has to fit into the equation. In other words, if I put in 2 for x and 1 for y, the equation is true. If I put 4 for x and 4 for y, the equation is true. That's what the equation tells you. Every point on the line fits the equation. It makes the equation true. So I can take any point on the line and fit it into the equation. Let's say I decide to take the point 2,1. What does it mean I'm taking the point 2,1? Wherever I'm going to see the x, I'm going to put a 2. Wherever I'm going to see the y, I'm going to put a 1. And look what happens to my equation. I get 1 equals 3/2 times, remember if there's a number and a letter, it means times 2 plus b. I get an equation of a line. And now, after I replace the x and the y, the only thing that's missing, the only thing that I don't know is the b. I'm going to solve this equation for b. Now, what's going to be the hard part of this? The hard part of it is that there's very often a fraction, because very often my slope is a fraction. So I'm going to move this over here. We know what it looks like. We already know what the slope is. So let's take away this picture. We don't really need the picture. And see, how do we solve something like this? X equals 3 over 2 times 2 plus b. And the big part here is, how do I multiply 3 over 2 times 2? Again, you could do it on your calculator by doing 3 divided by 2 times 2 and press equal. You can always do it that way. But I'm going to show you how to do it, as it reminds you how to work with the fractions. Since this is a fraction, the 3 over 2, I want to write the 2 as a fraction as well, because it's very hard to mix whole numbers and fractions. And any whole number really can be written as over 1. So the first thing I want to do is multiply 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. And the rule for multiplication of fractions is you multiply the tops together and you multiply the bottoms together. 3 times 2 gives you 6. 2 times 1 gives you 2. Multiplying 3 over 2 times 2 over 1 gives you 6 over 2. Now, usually, if you can, you want to simplify. Can you simplify 6 over 2? Yes, you certainly can. 6 over 2 becomes just plain 3. So this whole thing, the 3 over 2 times 2 over 1, can be replaced by the number 3. So the 1 I leave alone, the 3 over 2 times 2 over 1 became the 3 plus b. Oh, now it's a very simple equation. This is, I can figure out what b is by getting rid of this 3. I'll subtract 3 from both sides. And that'll give me b on the right side. And on the left side, 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. In other words, by just sticking the numbers into the equation, I was able to find that my y-intercept was negative 2. And that means that my whole equation became y equals 3 over 2x, because my slope was 3 over 2, minus 2, because I figured out that my y-intercept is negative 2. So the basic rule in figuring this out is to take a point on the line, stick it into the equation of the line, because the first number is always the x, and the second number is always the y, and work it out. And you know what? It doesn't matter which point you take. We had 2 points. We had 2, 1, and we had 4, 4, but you could have taken the 4, 4. You would have come out with the exact same negative 2 for the b. Any questions about this? I find that this is probably one of the hardest parts of the term.
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
I know you said don't try the homework, but on the homework, how would you plug that into Delta Math? Because sometimes it gives you a like it says it's wrong.
says it's
Do you
wrong.
3/2 and then minus 2? 'Cause you can't put in the variable.
You probably, what did it ask? What was the question? I don't know which.
I'm
question.
saying how I tried the homework.
And what did it ask for? For an equation?
No, this thing, this formula that you have to solve, I guess solve it. And it gives you, like, when you get it wrong, it shows you the example. So I'm saying, how would you plug in three?
You know what? I don't know there, since I gave you a bunch of different types of problems on Delta Math, I don't know exactly which one you're talking about. So
Okay.
do me a favor, either take a picture of one of them or tell me which topic you're learning and email it to me, and I will email it back to you, what I think is going wrong.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, because I don't, and again, I know that, don't worry about the Delta Math in case, if I see that you tried doing it and you got a bunch of them wrong, it'll tell me you tried the homework, which is all I'm looking for at this point. You get your full homework credit for doing that, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so yes, Emma, I see you need more practice. We all need more practice. I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to do these because these are hard. And at this point, I really would like you to get to know your calculator. If you wanted to do, let me just mention, let's say you wanted to do the 3/2 times the 2 on your calculator. What you would do is you do 3 divided by 2, and then you would do times 2, and you'd get equal, and it would give you the number 3. Your calculator could do it for you, or if you did 3/2 times 4, it can do it for you. Okay, let's try another problem similar to this. Okay, here are 2 points. -6, -2, and -3, -6. Okay. Again, we're looking for the equation of the line, the y equals mx plus b equation of the line. And again, whenever we want to write the equation of the line, the first thing we want to find is the slope. Now, I think you know how to find the slope, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to find the slope. Is by using the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And my x2 I said is going to be -6. My x1 is -2, so it's -6 minus -2. My x2 is -3, and my x1 is -6 minus -6. You have to be very careful about putting that's why you write out the formula and you write out which is your x1, y1, and which is your x2, y2. It doesn't matter if you pick this to be your x2 and your y2, as long as the x2 goes with the y2 and the x1 goes with the y1. And now we have to simplify this. Again, you could do this in your calculator, but do the top separately and the bottom separately. But I'm going to do it without the calculator, remembering wherever I see a negative followed by a negative, that becomes a positive. So the top actually becomes -6 plus 2, which is -4. And the bottom, again, I see this double negative, so that becomes a positive. -3 plus 6 is +3. The slope of the line, and that's what I saw a bunch of people got, was -4/3. Whoever answered the chat did it perfectly. So I know my equation of the line is going to be y equals -4/3x plus b. What I still don't know is the y-intercept. What is the b of this line? Neither of these points are y-intercepts because in a y-intercept, the x number has to be 0, and here the x is -6, and here it's -3. So I can't use either one of those as my y-intercept. Just as a little hint, when it comes to the midterm and the final as well, when you have a multiple choice question, you might look right now and look at your multiple choices. You know the slope of your line has to be -4/3. If there's only one answer that has -4/3 as a slope, then you don't have to do any more work because that has to be the right answer. But we're actually doing all the work. How do we find the b? I take one of my points, and it
Your
doesn't matter-
-6.
I'm sorry.
You go -4/3, and wherever you see x, you replace it with -6.
That's exactly. And it doesn't matter. I decided I'm going to take the -6, -2. If I could have taken the -3 with a -6.
Oh, so it doesn't matter which one you take,
It
right?
doesn't matter as long as
Oh.
I'm consistent. I can't take the x from one and the y from the other. I have to go the x with the y, or this x with this y.
Oh, okay.
Okay, over here. And if I'm using the point, let's -6, -2, that's telling me where I see my y, I have to put in -2. I leave the -4/3 where it is, but where I have the x, I put in the -6. And then I do my plus b. I simply replace the y with -2 and the x with -6. And I have to work this out. And again, the hard part of working it out is this fraction, where I have to do the -4/3 times the -6. Now remember what I said, when it's a whole number, put it over 1, so you know what's on top and what's on bottom. So multiply the -4 times the -6, because those are your numerators, gives me +24. And the bottom is 3 times 1 is 3. And 24 divided by 3 is 8. So
Yeah,
there,
that's what I got.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I was saying that's the answer that I got.
Okay, so we're almost finished. Yes, I saw in the chat, you were right. Now I have to put it in. Let's go over here. This gave me -2. That stayed -2. The -4 times the -6 became 8. And the plus b. Once I figure out what this is equal to, the equation becomes very easy to solve. Now I can solve this equation for grid B. I have the 8 over here. I have to bring it to the other side to get the b alone. I'm going too low, I see. So therefore, my b turns out to be the -2 plus the -8, which is -10. In other words, I figured out that the y-intercept of this line is -10. I did it by algebra. I didn't do it by drawing anything. I just did it by sticking it into the equation. And now I know what my equation of my line is. My line is y equals, well, my slope is -4/3 x minus 10. When I write the final equation, I have to write the equation with the y and the x in it. Even though I substituted numbers for them when I was trying to figure it out, the final answer has to have a y in it and an x in it. The slope of the line is -4/3, and the y-intercept is -10. That's the equation of the line. Okay, let's try another type of example. Does anybody want me to wait a minute?
I have a question.
Sure.
This is Kashira.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
What does it mean when the slope is undefined?
What kind of a line do we have a slope where the slope is undefined? Anybody? Anybody recall what it means when a slope is undefined?
When there's like a vertical line.
Right, it means that the line is straight up and down. It isn't all the lines that we've been talking about now are what we call slant lines. A line that goes straight up and down. It doesn't slant at all, is a vertical line and its slope is undefined. Okay? Kashira, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
You don't sound too certain about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you a little hint.
No, I was just thinking.
What?
I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Today's lesson, I'm not even looking at those type of lines. I'm giving you a hint. All the lines we're going to be doing today are going to be slanted lines. And that means that they are going to have x's and y's in their equations, and they're going to have actual slopes. They're not going to have slopes that are undefined. Okay, I want to do a similar type question, but see if we can come up with a solution for that. Okay. Actually, Kashira, I'm going to take your question that you were asking.
Okay.
Your question was, you had a line whose slope is -2/3, and it's going through the point 6, 4. And they want us to write the equation of this line. This is, and actually this was a question off of Delta Math. So this is a type of question that you would want to be able to do. How do we do something like this? Well, again, let's keep repeating. When we want to write the equation of a line, we want to do the y equals mx plus b. And remember, the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. Do we know anything about this? Do I know what the m is?
Yeah. It's
What is
negative
that?
2/3.
Right. They actually didn't even ask me to work it out. They told me what the slope is. So I right away am going to replace the m with -2/3.
He's not watching TV. Just you want to be up early and be annoying. Good. He wants to cry, he could take his butt to the salon.
But we still don't have the b. We don't have the y-intercept.
So we can use that point.
But we have a point. Notice it's not the y-intercept, but I can use it to figure out what the y-intercept is. What should I do with the 6, 4?
You want to take the
Get
6?
the 6 to replace the x.
We're going to replace the x with 6, and we're going to replace the y with 4. The 0.64 means that wherever I have an x, I'm going to put a 6. Wherever I have a y, I'm going to put a 4. So here we are. My y is 4. This is -2/3 times my x is 6 plus b. And again, this is where we're going to be running into problems with the fractions mostly. We have to multiply the -2/3 times the 6, which I write as 6/1. Now, what does that give me?
-12
On the top, it gives me -12, and on the bottom,
gives you 3.
right. Remember, you multiply the two tops together, the two bottoms together. Can you simplify -12/3?
-4.
Yes.
That's right, that's the word, -4. So for this whole thing, I'm leaving this 4 alone, but for this whole thing, it just worked out to be -4. So once I work this part out, that's the hard part. Then I get a very simple equation. How am I going to find what the b is? By isolating.
Add in 4 to each side.
Right, I'm going to add 4 to each side because I want to get the b alone. And 4 plus 4 gives me 8. So this cancels out. My b has to equal 8. So now I know my equation. My equation of my line is y equals, okay, now I put in the -2/3x because I have to put in the slope and I know it's -2/3 plus 8. And I have to write this whole thing out. Y equals -2 divided by 3. Make sure you get, if you're putting this in Delta Math, make sure that the x goes, either put the x on the top or put the x next to it. Don't let the x go into the bottom. Plus 8. The slope of the line is -2/3, which I was told, but I wasn't told what the y-intercept was, but it worked out to be 8. Any question about that? Let's try another example. I want to just get through this and we'll do more of these on Tuesday as well. This is not, I'm not finished with this topic today, but we're doing this. I'm going through a lot of the types of questions you could be asked. Notice we had 2 points. Sometimes it gave us the slope, sometimes they didn't. What if I gave you this question? Find the slope, the equation of line described. The y-intercept of my line is -5. They're telling me my line has a negative intercept of -5. And the line is parallel. Then I want to write the equation of is parallel to the line y equals -3x plus 7. Now here is what sometimes gets confusing. I have one line, but they were asking me to find an equation of another line. Let's call this line 1, the line that they give me the equation of. And let's call line 2, the other line, the one we want to find out. We want to find out. Okay, we're looking to find the equation of line 2. And all I know is I have a description of the line. The description of the line is it has a y-intercept of -5. So that's one fact they're telling me. And the second fact that they're telling me, so this is fact A. Fact B, they're telling me is that it's parallel to line 1. The line that I want to write the equation of is parallel to line 1, whose equation is y equals -3x plus 7. Now, if we want to write the equation of a line, we know we have to do y equals mx plus d. And we have to substitute both the m and the b. When we're looking for an equation of a line, we want to know what is the actual slope and what is the y-intercept. And even though they first gave me what the y-intercept is, when I'm going to write the equation of the line, the first thing I really want to concentrate on is what is the slope. What is the slope of my line? Well, the only information they gave me that might involve or tell me something about the slope is the fact that it's parallel to this line. What do we know about parallel lines?
That
That their
they-
slope are the same.
The 2 slopes are exactly the same. So what is
So
the slope of line 1?
-3/1.
How do you know that?
Because it's -3x, so I just know that that's actually a fraction. So
Right. If you had written just -3 for this point part, since we're not using it to graph, but we're just working it out, you could have just said -3. Usually, if we wanted to actually draw the picture, I certainly would write it as -3.
that's what I
But
did.
the number, when I have y equals the number in front of the x, the coefficient of the x is the slope. That's our m. So the slope of my new line, this is the slope of line 1. So what is the slope of line 2? The line that I'm trying to write the equation of.
So same.
Doesn't it also have to be negative? It has to be -3 as well. Thank you. Because the 2 lines are parallel, they have the exact same slope. So when I go to write my equation of my line, here's my line 2 that I'm writing the equation of. I already know that y equals -3x plus b. Simply because the two lines are parallel. So when I have a question that has to do with parallel lines, I just have to figure out what the slope of the first line is, and it right away gives me what my slope of my second line is. But I still have to figure out what the b is. That's always my second step. So I go back, wait a second, they told me that in my new line, this y-intercept is going to be -5. So that means that my b, they already tell me what the b is. The b is -5. So my equation then becomes y equals -3x minus 5. The -3 in front of the x is telling me that it's parallel to this line. Notice the b's are different. Well, that would happen because they're not the same line, they're parallel lines. So again, I concentrate on figuring out what the slope is. And once I figured out what the slope is, then I go to the y-intercept. Can we try another problem?
Could you go over that
Not
again?
anything to the 7?
You want me to review this again?
Yes, please, thanks.
Okay. I'm going to erase it and start again, okay? We are looking for the equation of a line, which is y equals mx plus b. So far, okay? We always, when they ask you to write the equation of a line, you want to fill in the m and the b. Your final answer will have a y in it and an x in it, but it'll have some number for m. Sometimes it's a whole number, but most often it's a fraction. And then we have a number for the b. Now, I'm going to do a little, let's do what we did before. I always, when I want to write equations of a line, I always worry about the m first. What is the slope of the line? Can I figure out what the slope of the line is? Once I figured out what the m is, then I worry about figuring out what the b is. So my first thing is, they told me that the line that I want to write the equation of is going to be parallel to y equals -3x plus 7. And I remember that parallel lines means they have the same slope. The slope of my original line is -3 because it's a number in front of the x. So the slope of my line also has to be -3. They're parallel lines. They have to have the same slope. So my equation is going to be y equals -3x plus whatever the b is. Remember, the slope I found by the fact that it was parallel to this line. But they also told me that the y-intercept of my line is -5. And I know that the b is the y-intercept. So that is essentially telling me that the b of my line is -5. So my equation becomes y equals -3x minus 5. Is that clearer? Was that helpful?
Yes, 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 it was, thanks.
Okay. All right.
So B is the y-intercept?
B is always the y-intercept, m is always the slope. In the y equals mx plus b, the b is the y-intercept. Okay, I'm going to do a similar type question. Suppose I have a line whose y-intercept is 4, and it's perpendicular to the line y equals -2/3x plus 11. Okay, now we're talking about two lines that are perpendicular, not two lines that are parallel. But the setup is the same. This is my, let's call this our line 1 is the original line they're talking about. And line 2 is a line that I want to write the equation of, which we know whenever we write an equation of a line, it's y equals mx plus b. Let's talk about the slope first. What is the slope of my line?
Okay, so you said perpendicular lines are opposite, right?
Opposite reciprocals, right?
Yeah.
So what is my m going to be?
Okay, so that would be 3.
It will
3
be
over
2 over 3.
Wait, this is negative 2 over 3. What is the reciprocal?
Negative 3 over 2.
Is it negative?
No, positive, because you're changing the signs.
Right. When you're finding the slope of a perpendicular line, you have to do two things. You have to take the fraction and flip it over. So 2 over 3, 3 over 2, and you change its sign. If this was negative, my answer has to be positive. If this one would have been positive, then my answer would have been
Negative.
negative. So now I know that y equals 3 over 2x, because now I know what my slope is. Plus, what's my b?
11.
That was an original line. What did I
4.
do?
4.
4, because I told you we're talking about my line has a y-intercept of 4. The original line, line 1, the one that was perpendicular, had a y-intercept of 11, but we're talking about an entirely different line. The only relationship it had to that line was that the two lines are perpendicular. So therefore, my equation became y equals 3 over 2x plus 4. And basically, these are all the types of these equations you can get. The only thing that might be different would be, let me do one problem. I'm just going to do it sort of quickly because I want you to be able to do these type of questions. Suppose I gave you this question, and it happens to be question number 14 on the sheet. Determine the equation of a line that goes through the point -3, -2. They're not telling me what my y-intercept is. They're just telling me a point that's on the line. And the line is going to be parallel to the line 2x plus 3y equals 6. Now, remember, this is my line 1. That's the line that they're giving me. And I'm writing the equation of line 2, which is going to be parallel to this line 1 and going through the point -3, -2. Again, whenever I want to write the equation of a line, I'm doing y equals mx plus b. I want to find the slope of my new line, and I want to find the y-intercept of my new line. The slope is what I work on first. And the slope, I know the clue to the slope is the fact that it's parallel to a line. Parallel means the two slopes are the same. Whenever they talk about the lines being parallel, or they talk about the lines being perpendicular, they are talking about slope. It's a fact that has to do with slope. Well, my first line that I gave you was 2x plus 3y equals 6. What's the slope of that line? Well, I can't give you the slope directly because it isn't y equals. I have to put that line 1 into the y equals mx plus b form in order to see the number that's in front of the x, because the coefficient of the x, the number that's in front of the x, will give me the slope of the line. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides to get the y's alone. That'll give me 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. And divide everything by 3. So this gives me y equals negative 2 over 3x plus 2. This is not my line. This is the original line in y equals mx plus b form. Line 2 then is y equals negative 2/3 x plus b. It has a different b. The b of the original line, the one that it's parallel to, is 2. But we want the line that goes through negative 3, negative 2, which means that wherever I have a y, I'm going to put negative 2. And wherever I have an x, I'm going to put negative 3. So I have negative 2 over 3 times negative 3 plus b. And again, the big part of the work is right here, multiplying that negative 2 over 3 times the negative 3, which I write as negative 3 over 1. And multiplying negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6 over 3. And 6 over 3 is 2. In other words, this then becomes negative 2 equals 2. This whole thing worked out to be 2 plus b. And I can bring the 2 to the other side, which gives me that the b is equal to negative 4. So now this equation, now my equation becomes, let me write it over here. Y equals negative 2/3 x minus 4. This was the original line. This is the parallel line. You can see they're parallel. They have the same slopes, but they have different y-intercepts. The y-intercept of my line turned out to be negative 4. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. We're going to be doing more of this on Tuesday.
I have a question, Professor.
Yes.
When we have the midterms and when we have the final, is it going to be like on the computer?
Yes, that's why I think maybe the next test I should give you is going to be, it's on Blackboard. You actually go to your Blackboard account and you go to tests. And I think I may, I'll let you know on Tuesday, or I may write you an email about what the next test will probably be, either Friday or the following Tuesday, but I'm not sure if I want to give it on Delta Math or if I want to give it on the Blackboard. So it should, that you should get used to doing examples the way they do it for the midterm and final.
So they're going to be timed, right?
What?
They're going to be timed?
Definitely timed. Definitely timed. Even the tests on Delta Math are timed. Okay, I think Melissa wanted to talk to you guys. So I'm gonna make her the host now.
Yeah. You finished, Professor?
Yeah, I'm gonna, I just wanna leave, I'm leaving,
Okay. So I have basically extra hours where I have to do like 9 hours outside of the classroom. I was wondering what are the days or time will be available for you guys. It's gonna be 9 hours for the week, extra time outside of class. So I wanted to like do like a schedule if it's like after this class. So this class ends at 11:40. So like 12, so 12 to 1, maybe you guys may be available every day after class, or, 12 to 1. I don't know what your days will be available. What I'm gonna do this week is basically see how it fits my schedule. I know after class, like 12 to 1 is normally like a gap where I don't have anything doing. And since we're on the Zoom call already, you guys can stay and we can do like an extra hour. I don't know if you guys can put that in the chat if that will work for you guys. And then I will find like maybe times on Friday. My days are Wednesday. Okay. So like, yeah, Wednesday. So the class goes from Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. So an hour every day after class. I'll just stay and we can work. That's just gonna be 3 hours. So I still have like 6 more hours to accommodate you guys. We can do it like on Saturdays. We can do it on Sundays. Like I'll be lazy on Sundays, I'm not gonna lie to you. But we can do it on like Fridays. So Friday, Saturday, we can do like 3 hours each day, just to accommodate for the full 6 hours. So if you guys can work Friday and Saturday from, I would say I work the learning center from 2, so 12, 11, 12, 1. So we can do from like 12 to 1 on Fridays, yeah. So Fridays after class, we could do the 3 hours. So we can do like 12, 1, 2. So to go to 2 on Fridays. So Friday, Saturday, and every day a 1 hour after class. If that works for you guys, we can definitely do that. I'm gonna start next week.
Okay.
Any confusion, any questions?
I think one of my questions, hello, is Jonathan speaking. So one of the things is like, would you be able to do something like on Monday, or would you much rather do it on the days for which we have class and the weekend?
If anybody needs Mondays, like that's fine. We could do like from 12 to like, we could do either the same time, or we could do from like 12 to 12 to 1 on Mondays, or you'd have to do it all the way from 7 to like 8 on Monday, because I work 2 to 6 already.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever is comfortable for you. I mean, once you know the hours and when it's set, you can just let us know. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I'm asking, like, a lot of people saying Mondays, but I don't know, is it for the hour after class? The hour after, wait, we don't have
Class
the
Monday.
thing, but from like, yeah, Mondays are weird. Let me get back to you on Mondays, because I actually, Mondays, what do I do on Mondays? Yeah, let me get back to you on Monday. It may or may not work.
Okay, that's fine.
May or may not work. But the other days definitely work. 3 hours on, we can do 3 hours. That's what I'm saying. 3 hours on Saturdays could work. for me. Fridays after class, that works for me. That definitely works. Okay, so if you have class Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can come on Fridays and get your, your 3 hours in. Yeah, so Fridays we could do right after class. We're on the Zoom link. We could break for like maybe 10 minutes. Y'all do y'all thing. And then I'll just stay on Miss Professor's Zoom link and we can just work from there. It's right after class, so you guys are already here, unless you don't have anything. What about Wednesdays? Wednesdays, we don't have class, right? Wednesday, what are I doing Wednesday? Yeah, I don't think Wednesday works for me. Yeah, I don't think Wednesday works. No one likes Saturdays. I don't see any Saturdays. Shirley, so what are your
I
times
like Saturdays.
available?
I could do 3 hours on Saturdays.
Like
I can do 3 hours on Saturday.
I will probably do it after class, like Tuesdays and Thursdays, probably.
That's the only days you can come?
Mm-hmm.
Friday don't work. Saturday don't work.
Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for me are busy days. But I don't know. I'll try and fit in. I have to. I don't know.
Yeah, because like with Saturday, it's like we come from like what? 11, 12, 1. None of those hours work. And Fridays right after class, you can come for like an hour. Because it's gonna be an hour each day. So we have class 3 days a week. So that's gonna be 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. That's 3 hours. And then Friday is gonna basically be like 4 hours. And then Saturdays, the next 3 hours. Yeah, Monday and Wednesday, not really a good day. I'm seeing in my head how that will work. I don't see it working out yet. So those who have Mondays and Wednesdays, I want to put my hopes on that. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, so I think is the best thing would be Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So 1 hour Tuesday, 1 hour Thursday, 4 hour Friday, and 3 hours on Saturdays. That sounds good. Well, any day is fine. I'm gonna head out though. Okay, alrighty. All right, so everything's good so far. Okay, I don't hear nobody, so I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Melissa.
Said
yeah, I would like it. Thank you so much.
All right, bet. So everything starts next week, so hopefully we can get the ball rolling after that. Alrighty, and I don't know if Professor is on, but if she's not, enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Are you gonna send us the link?
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna write it up and then I'm gonna send it to I'm gonna talk to Professor so she can maybe like put it on Blackboard or give y'all like a blast email or something like that, because I know she has y'all email.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, same to you guys.